Hey everybody, are we live? Well, we are live, but are we live? And it looks like we're live, but we don't have sound. Now we have sound. I didn't have it plugged in. How's everybody doing? Good to see everybody. I hope everyone is having a great week. We made it to another Wednesday, thank God. So, let's see who we have here today for part 6 of painting the stunning and beautiful Maria Kay. So let's see who's here today. Patty, how are you? Good to see you. All the way from Illinois. Great to see you, Patty. We have Roy Color Graphics all the way from sunny South Jersey. So always good to see you. John Diekman, Wisconsin man. And so that's fantastic to see you, John, as always. We have Mr. Leahy, born in Massachusetts, but living in Ohio, so that's cool. And Jesus, good to see you. How you doing? George is in the house, so that is good, all the way from Georgia. And we have Mr. John Total Pain. He is hailing from upstate New York. Paul, and Mr. Paul, just remind me where you're from. I am not 100% sure, so just give me a shout out as where you're from there, Mr. Paul. Always good to see you. Raul, how you doing? Raul's a fellow Jersey person. I believe you're in Central Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. Rick, how you doing, Rick? Now, Rick, where are you from? I have it on the tip of my tongue, but I always want to know where you guys. Georgia is in the house. That is so true, my friend. So that is so true, Jesus. And so, Paul, where are you from? I just want to know. It's like I want everyone to see how we can be from all over the world, all over the country, all over the world. And Tone from Queens. How you doing, Queens, New York? Always a pleasure, Mr. Tone. So glad you're here. And Steve Leahy, I am Mr. Leahy. I am so glad you're here as well. What a pleasure. And Paul says, let's see, Northern Indiana, Notre Dame, right? You know, Fort Bend. So love Indiana. Indiana in the house. Blue, how are you? All the way from Long Island. That is, oh, we got Canada in the house. Way to go, Rick. So, Victoria, so are you near Vancouver? Vancouver, see my New York accent? Vancouver. There you go. See, the New York accent, blah, it just comes out. So, that is so cool. So, great to see everybody. That is so great. So Mr. Tone is working and watching on the TV at the store. I'm honored. Thank you for spending Wednesday with me. So look how far we've come, really. I mean, we've come pretty far already, haven't we? With this young lady we're painting. So that's exciting. And so thank you, everybody, for hanging out with me on this Wednesday. I have my low-calorie lemonade drink, which is only 10 calories or something like that. Got my Ink Flingers baseball uniform on, right? The hat and the shirt. If anyone's interested in having the Ink Flingers uniform, let me know. I'd be glad to set you up with that if you are so inclined. And the hat, you can go with different colors, but I like the red and white. You can do red and black, you can do red and gray, you know, so it's, you know, pretty much up to you, which is cool. So, we're going to start painting. I have my reference up in PureRef so I can see everything I'm working. If you haven't gone on pureref.com, highly, highly recommend it. Let me see if I can put in the URL, right? www.pureref. I think it's pureref.com or org. Probably it is .com. So let me go ahead and put that in. Copy. And where are you? Okay, here we go. So I'm going to put this in the URL screen. There you are. So go ahead and get that, download that for Mac or for windows. Okay, you're gonna love it. Trust me, it's gonna change your artistic life a little bit for the better, and that is really important. Mr. Nameless, how you doing? It's great to see you. Oh, I hear that about being broke, so I'll reserve one for you, my friend. That's for sure. So definitely. And Mr. Jesus says, is the water high on pH? Tim, co-worker lost 7 pounds in 1 week. Maybe I need to drink water on pH. Oh, I'm not sure what. So what? Oh, like this stuff is always good. I lost actually 20 pounds not drinking sugary drinks since October. I did some other things and not have bread. Lately I've been eating bread, so I have to curb that. Yeah, so no bread, no white rice, no sugary drinks. I have these, which is only 10 calories. That really helps, you know. That's always good. Anything that helps, you know. For me, it's more about health than anything else, you know. For me to feel better and to look better is secondary, right? Now I got to start working out with weights. So basically, let's go ahead and get my Xtreme Patriot Arrow. If you haven't gotten an Xtreme Patriot Arrow yet, I highly recommend it. $149 gives you an airbrush that is second to none, right? And so $149, this will rival any custom micron in detail. Whenever I sell this to you and customize it, I test it with like a 10-point testing system. I spray it for about 3 to 6 hours. So when it gets to you, it is in perfect working condition. And I guarantee it's going to rival the $500 custom micron. And you may not use your custom micron anymore. Beware, you know. So Jesus says, Nameless Tim classes are two. Oh, you have 2 classes and hooked. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Jesus is a great student, so I had a lot of fun working with him. So thank you for that, sir. Colette, how you doing? All the way from Wisconsin. 2 Wisconsin people in the house. We got a kind of a Midwest connection. Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin. Very cool. Love the Midwest. Love, love, love the Midwest. And we have a Jersey connection. We have Raul, Roy, and myself all hailing from New Jersey. So definitely see some trends. Mr. Todd, how you doing? Todd, that was a really good one of the 7 dwarfs that he did. Really nice. I really loved it. I mean, good job, right? I love it when you guys do great work and you show me and on ink flingers. It's just a lot of fun. You know, it really is. Eric, how you doing? How's everything? Texas in the house. So we're going further. We're still in the Midwest, but we're going further down south. So great to see you, Eric. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you so much for taking time out on your busy Wednesday to just hang out with little old me. I really, really appreciate it. So, as you know, whenever I start a project or working on a painting I haven't been working on, I always like to go in with the detail mixture. And the reason I like going in with the detail mixture is that, you know, it's sort of getting warmed up. You don't want to get warmed up with medium mixture, because when you're spraying with that, it's kind of like spraying for keeps, you know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my detail mixture. I'm going to go ahead and put 4 drops in there. And those who know the detail mixture, you can just tell me how much you love it, how much control it gives your airbrush, and that's across the board. And just beats up on any other thing that you're going to put your airbrush, whether it's urethanes, Createx, Golden. This stuff will definitely change the way you paint and will give you, more importantly, my India ink, my Airbrush India inks they give airbrush artists confidence. And with that confidence, they start knowing what the right viscosity is to go through the airbrush. So that's the greatest takeaway with the India inks, is that you know exactly what will flow through there. So when you're working in Createx or Golden or whatever you're putting through, you know that it has to be that consistency. If it isn't, it's just not going to spray. The airbrush was made for inks and dyes. It wasn't made for acrylic. It wasn't made for thick watercolors. It was made for very thin, watery medium. And that's exactly what I learned from that. So very cool. Air Todd says, I'll post an ink Flingers. Great, that would be great to see it. So everyone can see what you're talking about. Yes. So go to, let me see if I can go to Ink Flingers. We're going to do painting today, but I also want to talk about a lot of things. I want this to be a place where we can all discuss art and what you guys are painting and going back and forth. That's what I want this to be about. Not always just about technique, but let's hear from you guys, hear from me, talk about art, inspiration, that sort of thing. Don't you feel a lot of times that you have all this information, this new stuff you're learning with airbrush and art, and you just want to share it and you just have nobody to share it with? I know that feeling, and that's what I want this live stream to be about. Not every week, but some weeks where we just sort of rap, like have a rap session. So that's the main focus of tonight's live stream. But what I want to do is I want to go ahead and put in the Ink Flingers page. So if you're on Facebook, just go ahead and go here and just join, and it'll be great. If you just go ahead and join, then you can post like-minded people. It's about ink, and everything like that, and it's people from the live stream. But if you want to post something a little bit different, that's cool too. We're interested in everything that you do art-wise, right? So let me go ahead and post this here. Bam! So there is the Facebook group Ink Flingers, and like it's just a place to hang out, talk about art, have a good time, show your work, encourage each other. Oh, Blue says she can honestly say the inks work great. You did your last paint. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, that was a nice painting. So great job, Blue. Your technique is really getting there. So fantastic. Oh, and Jesus says no tip dry. Thank you. Yes. It's very thin, and so the chances of the tip dry are very, very minimal. The thicker the paint is going to cause more tip dry, definitely. Oh, thank you, Patty. Yes, it is. And members like yourself, Patty, really make it that positivity, right? Which is really important. Brad, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Where are you? Where's Brad? Oh, there he is. How's it going, sir? Pardon me as I drink some of my lemonade. Hey, David, good to see you. How are you? So Brad is from Manitoba, Canada. And David, I know I have your address at the tip of my, not your address, but what city you're from. Where are you from, David, again? Now remember, whenever I start from the beginning of the day, yes, last night or earlier I might have cleaned my airbrush, but I don't know if I put the needle all the way forward or maybe there was something else in the airbrush, so I always test on the side. Oh, great! New York State? So yeah, we got 3 New Yorkers here. We have Total Pain, we have actually 4, Honey, we have Tone, and now David. So 4 of you guys. So that's cool. We got a definite New York connection going on. We got a little Jersey connection. Ah, Spanish Harlem. Very cool. So that's the Upper East Side, correct? Like around 116th Street, that sort of thing. Very cool, David. So Very, very cool. So we actually live close to it. I live just outside of New York City. I'm about 5 miles from Manhattan. So I can throw a rock and, hit your neighborhood, so to speak, you know? And so that's neat. And so that's cool. Yeah. Oh, great. So go ahead, join Ink Flingers. If anyone did join it, definitely can. I'll make sure if anyone is pending. So I don't see any pending right now. But yeah, we have right now 193 members, which is really fantastic. And we actually have a lot of people who post but have not joined yet. So that's cool. But definitely go ahead and join when you get a chance, because we love to have more in the group. And those who have not subscribed to this channel, go ahead and subscribe, because there's a lot of information coming down the pike, and I'm going to be doing some regular videos, not just live streams, which are going to be talking about airbrush and other topics that you'll find very interesting. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That would be really great. I think you really get a lot from it, Okay, so I did my little practice. Okay, so let's see. What are we going to work on? I'm going to look at my painting. We're going to stay pretty much in here. So what I want to do is I want to kind of put more value in the lights, right? You have the highlights and then you have the lights. And what happens is, even though it's the light, it still has an element of shadow, because you have the highlight, and then after the highlight, it starts turning away from the light. As it turns away from the light, what's going on is it gets darker and darker. So you can't have a whole area washed out. So if you learn about light, and that's what we're painting, you have to make that light sort of lose its strength as it's no longer reaching the surface of your model directly. So if it's not reaching the surface directly, it's going to be less than full strength, right? And as the face turns further and further, that full strength is going to be weakened as it turns away further and further. So you have to think of in those terms, that you're working in light and the strength of the light. I didn't turn my Hey, what's up, Hillbilly? How you doing? Great to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. So great. Mr. Hillbilly Abel hails from Nevada. So I want to know where you guys are from, because I want you to feel like you are all important, because you are. There you go. There's the compressor, which is cool. Let me make sure my flash is off. Okay. Flash is off, so that's good. All right. So let's see. So glad. And let's see. Mike S., how you doing? Great to see you. Mike hails from Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. Is that true? Did I get that right? I hope. Michigan. And David lives in Vegas now, originally from New York. Cool, cool. How's life in Vegas right now, sir? Some cities since the pandemic got really, have troubles, new troubles. How is it now since after the pandemic and everything going on? And Tone says it's coming out nice. Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate that, more than you know. Thank you for that encouragement. So distance is a really important part, Oh, you hate, David hates Vegas. Oh, boy. So that's rough. And oh, so you used to be in upstate. Cool, cool. Um, so that is definitely great how everyone's coming from different areas, right? And so right now I want to just talk on different subjects. Um, so who out there? Um, let's hear how long you've been airbrushing. So I'll start. So I really started airbrushing in 2010. So for me, I'm going to put 12 years. So I just want to know how long, 12 years. So how long have you guys been airbrushing? Let's just start the conversation just like that. 12 years for me. And, oh, so Tone says he likes how her eyes are wet. Yeah, you know, it's like we build up to that very slowly. We don't do that, but since we're close to the end of the painting, we're starting with the highlights, so it's really nice how it pops, you know. Okay, so total paint since 2019, so that's John. So that's 2021, 22, going on 3 years. And and Stephen Leahy says, since the dinosaurs roamed, that's pretty funny. And we have 6 months. David's doing really well for 6 months. And Eric, about a year and a half. Congratulations. You guys are doing well. Blue, only 7, 8 months. Look how good she's doing. Matt, how you doing? Great to see you. Matt, where are you from? I have it on the tip of my tongue, but I'm not sure. I'm taking everyone's, you know, just finding out where everyone is from. So Eric, a year and a half. I think I said that. And Brad says 2019, so he's going on 3 years as well. My guests say we still roam the earth, Stephen. And so Mike has been airbrushing a very long time. Tone, off and on since 1984. Impressive, my friend. And we have Hillbilly, 2 years. Seasonally depends on if you're busy or not. Starting a new business now. Oh, great. If you ever want to share your business on here, I'd love to hear. Detroit areas, Matt. Okay, Michigan in the house. We got that Midwest connection going on here. So welcome, Matt. And where are you on the hand, right? People always just say that. Where in the hand are you in Michigan? So if you're in the Detroit area, you're probably by the thumb, right? And then we have, let's see, Air Todd started in 95. Impressive. Street food. Wow, what kind of food? That's amazing. Kiva, how are you? So I want to talk about Kiva. She's amazing. She's doing murals now that are just unbelievable. But make no mistake, this is a force. This person is a force to be reckoned with the airbrush. Wow. What she does with the airbrush is amazing. When you start seeing stuff that she's doing when she takes time off from her amazing murals, look out. I'm telling you. And it's so great to see you, Kiva. Kiva is from the Cincinnati area, right? So I don't know if you're in Ohio or Kentucky, but you're right there near Cincinnati. I know that. And oh no, Kiva, so great to see you. Matt, 10 years. Wow, that's impressive. Kiva, how long have you been airbrushing? Southern Ohio, yes, definitely. Now, Kiva does amazing work. She's like an incredible portrait painter. She does oils and acrylic and, oh my God, only 3 years. Holy Toledo. Yeah, that's out of this world. Oh, Mike went through Cincinnati last week. Very cool. Mike, how you doing? Great to see you. So, Mike, where are you from, sir? But Kiva's been painting for 22 years, so it's great to hear, you know. We have a lot of experience in this room. And that's really amazing. So, yeah, so I've been painting for me seriously since I was 15. And I'm not going to date myself, of course. So, I've done I was, classically trained in oil paints and pen and ink and pastel and you name it, I've done it. Acrylic painting, colored pencils, and so yeah, I definitely, well-rounded in the arts, but it's very important to uh, always remember where we came from artistically and bring that to the airbrush as opposed to having the airbrush pretty much dictate how we paint or draw. So we always want to make sure that we don't forget our roots artistically. Aw, thank you, Kiva. That's so nice, and what a wonderful compliment. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And Mike LaRoche says, working too much. You're south of Atlanta, so you're in the same place as Jesus. Georgia in the house again. And so, but only recently returned, been working on leather for about 15 years and adding airbrush. That is great to hear. That is great to hear. So wonderful, wonderful experience. And so I want to talk about how the pandemic has affected your art, either during it or even now when it seems to be waning. Has it affected your art? Have you sold more art because of it? I would love to hear your thoughts. Does it make you pay attention to your art and give more time to it since life is kind of seems more precious right now? I'd love to hear your thoughts on how the pandemic has affected you as an artist and even as a person. I'd love to hear that insight. As far as me, I would have to say the pandemic helped me to connect with so many artists through teaching. And, a lot of people were in lockdown in the very beginning. And there were a lot of students who never had time to study art or to really get into their airbrush and to their portrait painting. And they took the classes with me. And it's just wonderful to see them grow and blossom as artists. So yeah, I think I'm able to get to know a lot more artists because we don't have the ability to meet up face to face. And not only that, it kind of opened the doors, like my online classes. It kind of opened the doors for people who can't get away, right? They can't get away. They have jobs, they're caretakers, they have schedules that are varying up and down, and now they're able to pursue their art through my mentorship program, through other means, and watching my live streams. So that's a good thing that happened, a positive thing from the pandemic, which there isn't many positive things. But we're really talking about how the art world has been affected, and also how our art individually has been affected. So here's some answers here. Kiva says she went from lockdown and not being able to paint in medical facilities, her murals, to being slammed and not a day off in months. Congratulations! That's fantastic. And my guess is 30 miles east of Cleveland. That is amazing. So that's cool. So you must get to go to Cleveland every now and then. So Eric says that the pandemic is what got him into airbrushing. Wow, that is fantastic. So you see, it caused a lot of us to slow down and to stop and realize that, what's important. And that's great, Eric. So you do some great work. So I'm very happy to hear that. And Mike S. says he just kept the needle at around 75 mile an hour and sat low. And John says, Mr. Diekman says, since the pandemic, I do even less. Okay. So John says he does even less. Mainly because he's been working from home 2 years and 2 weeks now, and I'm sick of being in the house. So unfortunately, you didn't have a time off your job. You just had to work from home. So I can see how that could get in the way of your artistic efforts. And Eric says he needed something to keep his mind and hands busy. Was lucky to take profits from cryptocurrency to pay for almost all the supplies. That is amazing. And Mike Guest says, oh, he's going to go to training in Troy, Michigan. That's cool. And Mike says, smart move. Mike S says, smart move. He heard that part of Ohio. Oh, okay. So we're talking about Ohio. And Tone says he actually came back to airbrushing in his store during the so-called pandemic. A positive thing for your artwork, right? So has that been a positive for you? And what about your artwork as a whole, Tone? Has it been a positive for you? And Mike says hand-to-hand training. And David says he always wanted to airbrush since he was a kid. He built a business, had it for 20 years. Congratulations on that. And the pandemic crushed his business. So sorry to hear that. So he started airbrushing, and he has 6 commissions. Fantastic. So, yes, when things change, we have to change with it. And hopefully we change for the positive, even though it's a negative. So I definitely can see how those things are really great that you were able to have that positivity. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead just real quick while you guys are talking about that, is I'm going to blow up her nose. No, not blow her nose, but blow up her nose, right? And I'm just going to look at that nostril angle. And it's all about angles, my friend. And I can see it's coming down, and just microscopically, it's just a little more angled in at the end. So I'm just going to take my Fonz and Porter, and I'm just going to adjust that just a tad. And also I can see that this would definitely fix it, and we'll come over here just like so. And I think that is a good adjustment. And since I have everything blown up, let me just go ahead and work on the indentation of the corner of the mouth. And you always want to start far away, like maybe about at least 4 inches away when you're going into a new area, and you'll have a very nice application. And let's see. And Tone says, I can't say yes and no because it's been like nothing happened. He's watched a couple of slow periods, but stopped working network TV. Stop watching network TV. Okay, so that's a positive. And Patty says she loved to stay in chat, but she has to catch up for work, and I understand that. Patty gets up super early. Thank you so much for hanging out, Patty. The live streams would not be the same without you. So it's very, very, very important to definitely get some sleep. So I hope you have a great night, Patty. And we'll be seeing you around Ink Flingers and on Facebook and on Instagram as well. So Blue says the portrait is coming out beautifully. Thank you, Blue. I appreciate it. You're great. A great encouragement to me. Thank you. I appreciate it. And as I'm going, I can see I can put a little more value in the bottom lip here. So I'm just going to darken that slightly. Just slightly so it matches what I'm painting. And so that's cool. Oh, Mike Deloach says he's out. Just dropped in to take a peek. Ah, great to see you. Don't work too hard, Mr. Mike. And thank you so much for coming by and hanging out for a while and saying hello. It's always a pleasure. Always very important to see you. Very encouraging for everybody. So I appreciate that, sir. So we're just going to continue. So what I want to do is I want to work on the shape of her nose. I mean, not her nose, but her lips. And I can always zoom out. Watch this. Well, it's zooming in, right? So I'll zoom out. And we can zoom in. And you can see how the painting's looking as a whole. and so that's good. So basically, most people are probably, the artwork has been a positive in the pandemic, right? So that's good. Oh, Kiva says looks amazing. She hasn't caught up on the live stream for a while and didn't think you could get better, but you. Oh, thank you. That's encouraging. I appreciate that, Kiva. Thank you. Always working hard, right? We're working hard, Kiva, and that's what we want to do. We definitely don't want to stay still. We want to constantly improve, push that technique, right? It's so important to push that technique. What I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust my camera a little bit. So let me move this here. And so I'm just going to, not gonna. So we'll move this down, and I want to move it, there we go. So now I move this. This is a very expensive tripod. It's by Vanguard. So it's like a professional photographer's tripod. But this is a much better angle, I think, right? It's much closer, so we can see it, and then when we zoom out, zoom in, we see things a little bit better. So what do you all think? Hey, Mr. Todd, thank you, my friend, for the $10 super chat, super sticker. Thank you so much. That really is important. It helps out the channel. It encourages me. It enables me to get stuff for the live streams, and so to make the experience always better. So thank you so much, Todd. I really appreciate it. Like I say, the live streams are not the same without you. You're an important part of this community, of the Ink Flingers community, everything like that. So thank you so much. And once again, go to Ink Flingers. I left the link in the description. No, the link in the comment here. I'll put it there. Go to Ink Flingers and you can see Todd's work. You can see Tone's work. Steve Leahy's on there. And you definitely could see the really great stuff people are doing. It's really, really amazing what everyone is doing. So thank you, Todd. And you know, I want this, you know, this is a very slow growing, like, you know, let's see, like as you know, YouTube channels grow, this is a very slow growing channel, right? I'm almost at 4,000 subscribers, right? But I've been doing this for a very long time. But there's a reason why it's a slow growing channel. And I think the main reason is that it's about first names, you know? It's about learning about each other's work. It's about you know, watching my live stream, watching a portrait from beginning to end. Everyone who comes to my live streams, you're invested, right? You've seen part 1, you see part 2, part 3, right? So you're invested into this. So it's not like you're coming in and like, oh, what's he doing this week? You know what he's doing. You know what I'm doing. And, you know, and you're part of a community, which is really nice. And that's what I wanted to create together with everybody, is a community where we can forget about a lot of the garbage that's going on there and turn it around and encourage one another, and to hear about not just what I'm doing. This is just the thing, the vehicle that brings us together. But the real beauty of it, the real reason why I do the live stream, is a place for us to talk about something that's exciting to us, right? Let's face it, in the grand scheme of people, we are the minority of the minorities, right? We don't have people to share, you know, that stuff with. So this is what we have here. We can share our art, our passions, our inspirations, and that's what I want to build. So I'm not going to build that 1, 2, 3. That's not something that was going to just like blow up one day. It's going to be like 30,000 subscribers or anything like that, because it's a community. But what's exciting, that even though it's not growing fast, but it's growing, right? And it's growing steadily, and like a slow tide, right? And we're going to build, and I notice this is going to be a live stream and a channel that's going to be a place where we can go ahead and grow as artists and share stuff. And I also the website Ink Flingers that I started, that's really going to be something great, because you guys and girls make it great. That's what I want. I want something that's going to have that kind of, you know, inherent natural growth, right? From just word of mouth and growing and all that stuff. So that stuff's exciting to me. So very, very cool. So thank you for being part of everything of this Ink Flingers. We are a baby, a little fledgling little group right now, a little community, but you know what? Bible says, do not despise the day of small beginnings. And I believe that, you know, just because we're small now doesn't mean we're not doing super important things. And I leave the live streams on for everybody, because you can go onto just my Facebook channel and you could watch part 1 to 5, right? And then you can catch up and say, oh, now I know what Tim's talking about, right? So that's great. That's a real plus that we can do that. Yes, it's not the most lucrative way to do a YouTube channel, but you know what? I think it's the best way, at least for what my goals are, right? Blue, thank you so much. Blue with the $10 super chat. I appreciate that. And, you know, everyone is just so gracious and so wonderful to add support and, you know, like-minded like Blue. And that just means the world, you know. And I just want to thank you for that, Blue, and always being such a positive influence on me. And, you know, everyone has those days where you're just like, oh my God, what am I doing, right? But, you know, like Blue and Todd and everyone that's here, you know, showing up and participating, I mean, that means everything to me. It really does. So thank you for that. Thank you, Blue, for the super chat. Okay, I just want you to know it's definitely means more to me than you know. And you see here, I'm just very lightly doing. So she has a definite expression, right? A definite expression in her face, and when she does that and kind of, you know, crinkles up her forehead. You can see that it does cause the flesh in her forehead to kind of, and the muscle to build up, and part of it is facing the light directly. So that's why you see this, because it's causing part of the forehead to face the light directly, which wouldn't otherwise. So that's why it gives that impression, you know. And Nameless says he's back, had to hike a mountain and navigate. Oh my goodness, but you got him, yes. So I'm glad you're back, Mr. Nameless. So fantastic. And so that's good. And Mr. John Payne says smash the like button if you can. That would be fantastic. Thank you for that, Mr. John Payne, for reminding people. The like button is just letting me know that I'm doing good, that you're enjoying this. And that's always a plus, to know that I'm doing good and I'm going in the right direction. So as you see, if I zoom in on the eye, when I was looking at the eye, you always want to make sure that you're getting the shape of the eye, right? And so you see in this eye, we see the curve, right? In the reference, you see the curve. And I didn't get that curve. I had it more straight down. And also I'm seeing the curve a little more here. So you want to make sure you get the negative spaces as well as the positive spaces, which is, oh great, Matt just joined, fantastic. So is that Ink Flingers you just joined, my friend, or is it the subscription to the channel? So I'm going to look at Ink Flingers and see if I can see if there's anyone who needs to be admitted into the group. And I'll just double check. Oh, great. So I do see we have Crizzle, which is fantastic. And we have Eric, brand new to Ink Flingers, so that's fantastic. Paul, that's great. And of course, Mike. So thank you so much. I'm so excited that you guys are new Ink Flinger members. So that makes me happy. And we build that community too, right? So, oh, there you are, Crizzle. So cool. So that's great. Nameless says that Tim, the pillow, he's eager to find out. What am I going to? Yes, so that's definitely down the pike. So part 7 will definitely reveal that, my friend. Very good point, you know. And you know, with painting, sometimes it's good to plan, but sometimes it's good to keep it wide open, you know, to see whether or not we're gonna go down that route, right? So that's exciting. So yes, definitely. So part 7 you're gonna like. That's gonna be the big unveiling, whether or not we're going to do that. So thanks for the encouragement on that, and I'll definitely have an answer for you. So let's zoom out and get a little bit more. I'll go back here. And I'm just going to look to evening up some of these values. So right here, so you get to a point in your painting where you're just not, you know, you're not making big decisions. You're just making small decisions, small little improvements into your painting, kind of doing micro paintings, the paintings inside the painting, so to speak, which I like doing. So that's good. So how's the sound and picture quality today? Not bad? So, and as you can see, I have my Ink Flingers hat. Dun dun dun. Gratuitous close up with the little dust on over here. And then my Ink Flingers shirt, you know, with the Xtreme Patriot arrow there. So if anyone is interested in the baseball uniform for the channel, let me know. I'd be glad to share how to do that, how to get that. So it's really cool. And it's definitely great during the spring because you still have some sleeves. It's still a little warm, but it's not stifling like a sweater or a sweatshirt. So definitely cool. Cool and warm at the same time. And, oh, thanks, Matt. Matt says quality stream. I appreciate that. So Rick says, Tim, I'm in a bit of a funk, and that happens to everyone, so don't feel bad, Rick. These days, he's airbrushing because he has to, not because he wants to. So busy with life, it can happen to anyone, Rick, and work. That pure pleasure of painting is eluding me. Any advice? I have great advice for you. This is going to be fantastic. So this is such a good question, and whenever I feel like I'm not growing as an artist, regardless of airbrush artist, but as an artist, I always know I got to go back to basics. You breathe in and out, right? You simplify things. You try and remember why you are an artist anyway. You know, what really gets your blood boiling, right? What is it that gets you up in the morning when it comes to art? When you look at a painting, what makes you go, wow, I love that, right? What is it? So I'm actually going to go get something because it's so important. But as I'm doing that, take a look at this new LED light that I have. You put this in your USB and it lights up. So I thought that was really cool. So talk amongst yourselves and look at my LED light. And I am going to be right back because I have to get a visual aid that is going to help out Mr. Rick a lot. So when I get like that, I go back to basics. I go back to breathing in and out. I go back to doing little things that make me happy. And some of those little things that make me happy could be cleaning my bathroom, making my bathroom really nice. It could be something as simple as, making the pancakes that I love, or something like that, or calling a friend and just talking. Also, when it comes to art, you want to go back to basics. And going back to basics is going back to sketchbooks. That's where we start. That's where I started as an artist, as a kid. I had little sketchbooks. So right here is a real case in point, right? So let me move me out of the way. Let's move this, and we'll put this here. So this was at a time where I wasn't feeling as creative. So I basically have this Bristol Smooth, which works great with Airbrush and India ink. So Rick, if you don't have the India inks, this will work great for you. And what I did was I took my reference, printed it out on the same size as almost I'm working on, put it over here. I went ahead and projected this, and I just went ahead and painted it. And it was just going back to basics in my sketchbook. So I did something different. I put some abstract stuff in the background, and I just had a good time. And as you can see, this is one of my favorite paintings, and it's in a sketchbook. There was nothing in it but just something that I just loved about this pose. I thought it was emotional and sexy and intriguing, and I just loved it. And I just went back to basics with technique, and didn't worry about anything. I didn't plan for anyone to see it, and good things happen. So one of the good things is that you put your reference here, and you have your artwork, and when you're done for the day, you can always put it aside. When it dries, you can close it, you can come back to it. It's not a big to-do, right? It could be a warm-up every day. You do it 15 minutes a day. So doing stuff like that, it helps you to go back to basics. And the sketchbook is a basics, right? So I have other sketchbooks that I've done, but the irony of all this is that when I do stuff like this, it actually helps me to grow as a painter because I'm thinking differently. I'm thinking outside the box, right? And so I actually did a Martin Luther King, which sold. So that's cool, right? So when you're not thinking so much about it and we're being too heavy with it, here's another one of my favorite paintings. This was, I got this piece of paper, put it there. What I did with this one is I actually cut my color line paper by Canson, cut it the same size as my sketchbook, and worked in color line. I went ahead and used actually Frisket with this, which was very interesting, did something different. And so again, having a point where maybe I felt I wasn't growing, and doing commissions and everything, live streams and videos, everything became too serious, and then I went ahead and did this. So you see how getting back to basics, Rick, is really going to help you. I think sometimes things get too serious, right? And we get too precious with our artwork, and we're nervous whether it's going to come out right. And we just got to have that freedom, right? That freedom to do, here's a sketchbook, doing little noses, lips, just playing around with your pencil, really going back to basics with that. And you see, here's a little painting I did. As you can see, just practicing, nothing fancy. But that getting back to basics is going to serve you. And so that's what we want to do. So if nothing else, I hope it just imparts that, it's just right now things are getting a little heavy and more important. So let's see what people are saying. Going back to Rick's, and Nameless says, Rick, this is the perfect time to experiment, practice new things, start random projects. and normally would interest you. Yes, that's great advice. Thank you, Nameless. And Matt says, Rick, what type of painting do you do? Good question. Nameless says you'll find you learn a few things if you work on random projects. Very good. Kiva says, I will catch the rest later. Amazing work. I'm always have to load up on paint. Oh, have a great night, Kiva. It's amazing to see you. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. And let's see. Rick says Mike S says do personal project. Great advice. Honey says she has to call a night. Have a great night, honey. Great to see you. And we have, what does Tone say? That's a good idea with the sketchbook. It really is, Tone. Give it a try and have that, you know, that, how do I say, have that reference right on the other page, so you have a little reference and your artwork right there, and you can close it up, go back to it. It's great, Tone, definitely. Nameless says that's how he became the lip master. Yeah. That's funny. And so, yeah, you know, guys, it happens to all of us, but the thing is, we just have to realize that it's up to us to get out of it and just go back to basics. Things are getting a little too serious, and it happens to all of us. We get too precious with everything, right? It has to be perfect, especially when we get better technically. Then we get worried, right? Am I going to do it as good as the last piece? Or go back to the reason why you started in the first place. What kind of paintings do you want to see out in the world? And remember, we paint because no one's going to paint the pictures that we want to see, right? No one's going to want to see those pictures. No one's going to want to paint them exactly the way we have them. So that's why we become painters. That's why we become writers. That's why we become musicians, because no one is going to do what we have as a vision, right? Tone says you can see your improvement at the size over time. And yes, you can, definitely. And you know, you definitely can see, because you're just being an artist. You're not worried, right? You're not freaking out whether it's, and you don't even care if anyone sees it, right? And that's a great liberation. It's like back in the old days when we were kids, we would just sit in our room and just paint, right? We didn't care, right? We had no care in the world whether someone liked it or not. I'm gonna make this a little smaller. Come up here. So as you can see with this portrait, I'm going slow. I'm not really worried about getting it to a certain level. All I am is just continue working it. And so you see how I actually changed. So if this highlight right here is a little higher or a little lower, is actually going to change the shape of her nose. So you got to make sure that you triangulate and get that correctly. And Rick says, true wisdom, Tim, and also all of you watching, people are inspiring to you. Oh, that's so great. And not the art, you guys are so supportive. Oh, that's so great. That's what this place is about, this channel. It's just a place to hang out. And I mean, we can go anywhere and learn about art, but where's a place where we know that if we are having a bit of, you know, an artistic block, or you have a question that is eating you up, this is a good place where people are, you know, are going to be caring enough to give you good answers, right? Not wise guy answers. So that's fantastic. True, Tone says it is a phase, right? You got to work through it, right? Definitely work through it. And that's what I like to do, is work through those difficulties, right? And they come, but it's up to us to work through them, you know? And it's at that time when everything makes you feel like you want to stop. That is like the most important time to keep going. That's like that, you know, those few moments in our life that define us, right? That's when we got to say, you know what, screw it, I'm going for it. I am going, I am going to be a bulldog, a pit bull. I am going to be a wolverine, a badger, and I am just going to keep going. And I'm going to get it because there's no ifs, ands, or buts, right? And that's what we have to do. We have to just strive to, you know, keep the dream alive, so to speak, right? I think that's so important. It's so very important. And so, thank you so much for everyone giving him good advice, giving Rick good advice. That's fantastic. And Nameless says, if you think about it, all those poor who pay someone to do their art will never get exactly what they envision. The only exact is what they. It's true, but it is true. It's not everyone has the artistic ability, right? But it's great that we have that ability to take something that's in our head and to give it life, right? And that's fantastic. And those of us who are artists, we have to continue remembering how cool that is, right? Just how amazing that is to feel that, and not every painting comes out perfect, right? We have our paintings that are so-so, but we also have those paintings, those moments when we're like, whoa, did I do that? Not like Urkel, did I do that? But did I do that? Right? That's really fantastic. So that is great too. It's a great feeling. We don't want to lose that. We want that feeling over and over and over again. So that's why we do it, for those moments. That undeserved kindness, whatever it is, that when we're doing a painting and everything works out well and people just look at your work and they go, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's why we stay in. That's why we stay into this, right? That's why we keep going. It's that stuff, those moments. And they're not every day, but when we do have them, it's like, okay, that's why I spend all that money on these art supplies. That's why I do this. That's why, you know, instead of going out and hanging out or doing something, you know, a little less strenuous emotionally and intellectually, but then when it comes through, that's a great feeling. So, my fellow artists, you all know what I'm talking about. And this is where the likeness is when we're doing these little subtle shapes within the shape, right? You can see it's a shape within a shape. It's not just one value, but there are values within values, and all those things really make a big difference. So, and Rick says, when I said to do a personal project, I meant a personal airbrush project. Yes, definitely. And so that's definitely true. And yeah, a personal airbrush project, and something that you love that no one else is going to do. And it's just for yourself. It's not for anyone else, right? It's just for your own edification as a painter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to realize that this kind of light or half light over here, this value comes up pretty far and a little bit over here. So we see her cheekbone is over just a bit, right? And that's an important aspect in getting her likeness. So when you're taking your time at this stage, you're going to see a lot of things if you really look hard. And that's what we want to do. We want to take our time to see that. And you can see as I come over just a little bit here, things really start to appear. And we can see where, we might be off just a little bit. And normally we could actually just leave that alone and be happy, but that, I think, where the life of the painting comes out, when we really try and get the essence of what's happening. And you can't do this in the beginning. This is like hours, like what? Hours 13 and 14, right? So this is not going to happen in hour 4 or hour 2. You have to work hard to get there. You have to earn the point to get to this here, right? That's what you have to do. You have to earn it. And let's see what people are saying. Tim, how much longer do you have? Do we have for you? I know you missed half of the show. Oh yeah. So we're here till 10:30, my friend. 11:30. So another hour, más o menos, right? So yes. So always, usually, unless extenuating circumstances, it's always 9:30 to 11 Eastern time. And I try and be as consistent as possible when I can, you know, because I know everyone could be doing something else, and so I try and be as predictable as possible. Take this seriously. So this is serious for me. Fun yet serious, right? And let's see. Mike S says, wife, kids, favorite car, something you love. Very cool, Mike. Good advice. And, well, I didn't want you to start a home remodeling job. Oh, that's funny. And Rick says, funny you say that. I'm doing it right now. That's cool. And Nameless says, I like how you translated the stress muscles in her forehead. Thank you, Nameless. Yeah, you know, it's important to you know, to see that, but then try and realize what's happening with the light, right? Because in essence, that's what we're doing. We're really painting the light and its effect as it gets interrupted by Maria's form here, right? You know, her cheek, her forehead, her frown lines, everything. So we're really worrying about that and painting that. So down here in her cheek as well, there's a lot going on. I'm just going to come in here. And remember, when I start off, I'm going to start off around 3 inches away because I don't want to go too dark. I can always go lighter. So you definitely want to make sure that you ease into your values. Don't go in like a cowboy, right? Let me see if I can darken this just a tad. Okay. So I really enjoy these live streams and everything like that. So we did have, so the YouTube channel did have a really good milestone last week. We have 30,000 hours of watch time. So people have watched my videos for 30,000 hours. So if you think about it, that's a lot of hours, right? So let's see. I'm just going to look and see what 30,000, because I'm not sure. 30,000 kind of seems like, you know, what exactly that means. So we're going to go 30,000 divided by 24. So that is 1,250 days people have been watching. That's a lot of hours, right? That's a lot of days. 1,250 24-hour days people have been watching the channel. So, you know, it's no big deal for people who have big channels, but for me, a little channel, and for our little channel, that's pretty cool. So that was really neat. So I thought I'd share that with you. A little baby milestone for others, but for my channel, that was pretty cool. 30,000, wow. So that's 1,250 24-hour days people have been watching the channel. And let's see what I missed. Nameless says, I like, are you okay? And Nameless subscriber says, edit wasn't a question, was a typo. And Mike S says, oh no, no wonder you lost your mojo. And Mike S says, my idea of remodeling is moving. That is a form of remodeling, yes. Yeah, not everyone has the ability to do stuff like remodeling. I'm not good at that stuff. I know that's not my forte, and I kind of live with it, you know. I'm gonna turn off this fan. There we go. Okay. So we have people out. Hey, Omas, good to see you. How are you, my friend? So, Omas, where are you from again? We're doing, I just want to make sure that I greet everybody and we all know that, you know, where everybody is from, you know, that we're from all over the world, all over the United States. So, I think I knew at one time where you were from, but forgive me, I did forget. But I won't forget next time, I promise. So, always great to see you, Omas. That is so great. Thank you so much for spending your Wednesday here. I really, really appreciate that. So that is cool. And let's come here and work on her chin here. So her chin is quite complicated. But if we look at it as a three-dimensional form, we can see that it's round. And it is facing the light right here most. And you can see it turns much quicker away from the light to the right as opposed to the left. It's much more gradual. So when we're knowing this, we can actually, with this information, we can actually sculpt something if we had clay. But since we have tone and value, we can actually sculpt with value. So understanding what's going on, you know, with the light is going to help us to sculpt and make things three-dimensional with the paint, which is really cool. And so, oh, Berlin, that's fantastic. All right, so that's great. Germany in the house. That is so great. What an honor to have you, my friend. And Mr. Leahy says, okay, ladies and gentlemen, does that mean you you have a great night, sir? Thanks for spending your Wednesday with me, sir. And if you haven't, check out Mr. Leahy's live stream. It is on Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern. And you can catch him on Facebook on StephenLeahy.com. And Mondays at 6, believe me. And you also have a YouTube channel, don't you, Mr. Leahy? And what is the YouTube channel name? So if I got you in time. So how would, because Mr. Leahy is starting a YouTube channel. He has a YouTube, but he's actually really going to be doing some exciting things with it. So make sure you subscribe. So so if you get a chance, if you're still here, let us know the name of that YouTube channel, sir, so people can check it out. And again, you know, we have to make sure that we get these shapes correct. And let's see. Very cool, very, very cool. And we are just going to get this shape here. All right, so as you see, so a little bit strong in the light here. So I'm going to take a non-aggressive eraser. I would say probably if I could find it. Remember, if you can't find something, it's either underneath or below something. So we would definitely find it. It was underneath other erasers. So right here, it's a little dark here. So I'm going to use my very delicate, non-aggressive eraser. And I'm going to erase this. But not just erase for this. Remember, like in chess, right? When you're retreating, you're also attacking, right? So if someone attacks your queen, you move your queen away from the attack, but you go ahead and move it so the queen's attacking somebody. So when you're erasing, you just don't erase. You erase, and then you make sure you're looking for that shape as you're erasing, right? So you're not just erasing what you did. You're creating that shape. So Remember, when you're retreating, also attack. Okay, it's very important. And otherwise, you're just retreating, and then you have to like change your whole thinking. So always retreat and attack. And you see how much better that looks right now, doesn't it? It looks much better. Again, I'm going to get my least aggressive eraser because I think we can change the shape of the lip, the upper lip, to be a little bit more like Maria's, right? I want to paint Maria, not what I see or what I think I see. I am painting this lovely lady, so I have to make sure that I adhere to her DNA, right, of who she is. So I'm just going to fix this, but as I'm thinking about the new shape, so I am also attacking as I'm retreating. So I'm adding detail as I'm taking away, right? So you add detail, you take away, that sort of thing. So that's really cool. So we'll do that. And have a great night, Mr. Leahy. So cool to see you, sir. And we'll just come over here like this. And I think, okay, so here's another good point. So let's say you want to make a change, right? Even though it's late in the game, you want to make a change. Like, if I look at her lip, right, I can see that this lip comes down here. Maybe it's a little more rounded over here. So again, I'm just going to come over here. I'm going to make her lip a little more rounded. It's not so square, right? But then if I look at this side, it comes over, it comes down. And if I'm going to change the shape, I'm going to do it with the pencil. Because I don't care who you are, we are always better with the pencil than we are with the airbrush. Nobody at 6 years old was airbrushing. But we had pencils in our hands, right? We were working in pencil. So definitely do it in pencil first and then airbrush. You have much better control with the pencil. And so definitely use what's best for the job, right? Don't be a cowboy or a cowgirl. Don't try and do with the pencil because it's cool. Do with the airbrush. Do with whatever does the job better and most accurately. One second rule is going to keep us from, so you see now I'm starting to get what I'm seeing and not what I'm thinking I'm seeing, right? And you can see how this comes out more. Our lip comes out further, and that's going to get us home. We're going to lighten that, but right now I just want to bring this lip further out, just like so. It comes out much further, out like so, like this, and then this comes down, and then we have a whole different shape. So much better. So it's good to make those changes. Let's see what else we have. Mike says, man, I have more time than watching the Andy Griffith. I have more time than that watching Andy Griffith show, but that's from when I was a kid. Love the Andy Griffith show. And Rick says, Tim, do you use sealer on your portraits? Nope, I just frame them up. You know, I mat them, put them under glass, and they're good to go, you know. I mean, they'll last forever. So once they're under glass, you know, they're sealed tight. They're all taped and so no bugs get in. And that's going to last you for a long, long time. I have pastel paintings under glass that look like the same as if the day they were painted many years ago. There are paintings from like the 1600s that are done in pastel that are under glass that are still in great condition. So really all you need is glass. Keep the glass away from your drawing and you're good to go. So that's a good thing to know. And let's see. Yeah, so true. I never use, because and here's another thing. I was trained to never use fixative unless it's like an absolute emergency where you no longer get the acceptance of pastel. So that's the only thing I'd ever use. When you use any kind of fixative or any kind of sealer, you're going to darken your colors. And I don't want to darken my colors. And so I want it to be as fresh as the day they were painted. Of course, if I'm working in something like acrylic, you're going to have some areas that are more shiny and some areas that are more matte. And then like a varnish would be good. I do that on my acrylic paintings, definitely. But pastel and ink, they have the same surface throughout. So you see there's no difference in glare. So there's really no need to have that glazing, which is good. Uh, Actually, light could degrade with the ink, but my India inks are made from Speedball, Super Black India ink, which is light fast and archival. The paper I use, which is not synthetic, it is real paper made out of wood and pulp and all of that, and it's archival and light fast. So everything that I use, even the white pastel, everything that I use is archival, Rick. And so my paintings will be here long after I'm gone. And as long as they're framed, the light's not going to affect the pastel. It's not going to affect the paper. Everything's going to be here to stay. So that's good, you know. And Mike S says, Tim, do you buy or make those rub sticks you use? Oh, these guys right here? Oh, I buy them. They're tortillas or stumps. And every time I'm at like Dick Blick or Michael's, I always go ahead and try and pick them up. They're great, and they're really inexpensive. You get like 6 of them for like $1.80. And like I said, I just picked them up at the store. And that's it, you know, just and never run out. Same thing with kneaded erasers. You can't run out of kneaded eraser because that stuff is so, I mean, the kneaded eraser is so important. So remember I told you in the early going that the indentation of the corner of the lips is going to make a little shadow. Well, that shadow will only show up if we do the corresponding light next to it. A lot of times the shapes are actually described by the adjacent shapes, the ones that are next to it, rather than the shape itself, right? And this is another indication. So you have this little indentation of the bottom of the lip here, right? And then right here, you have the corner of the lip, and then you have that little indentation right there. It's very subtle, but what really is going to make that come out is the fact that there's lighter areas around it, right? And when you're real subtle, you got to make sure you're further away. Now, and that's the thing, right? You have to make sure that you, I don't even know why I have a magnet there. That makes no sense whatsoever. So that's me keeping my head in the game. So I definitely have to keep my head in the game here. And so right here, we just make sure we have these angles correct, and we do. And we're still in the detail mixture. I think we're going to be coming in with the medium mixture pretty soon, shortly. But right now, let's go ahead and refine some of these shapes here, okay? And I have the least aggressive eraser because I don't want to be rubbing into the surface, and I want to gradually change the shifting of the values, right? Gradual, gradual, gradual. So that's fantastic. And Nameless says he likes to seal his art with something. I can understand that. I know people aren't supposed to touch and handle the finished product, but they will anyways, and you want them to let. Very good point, right? So that's true. I can understand it. Mike says we know, and you also find something lost in the last place you look. Exactly, right? That's exactly it, my friend. And it's always underneath something. That's always the case. Well, not always the case. And there we go. Just come over there like so. and come up here. There's a little more space here. So you see with the light pressure and using the mono zero, I'm able to not dig into the surface, not change the texture, and just ever so lightly change that value, right? We have a lot of very slight value changes here, so we're just gonna continue doing that, working on that. And let's see here. Nameless says, okay, Mike S says, Nameless, you may try UVLS Clear by Createx, test it. I can understand that. I hear a lot of people use that stuff, so that's cool. Definitely test it, as Mike says. Good point, very good point. Or first place you looked, oftentimes that's the hardest place to find things because you know you already checked. Exactly. Sometimes the hardest thing to find is right in front of us, right? That happens. Believe me, that happens. Which is really neat. Really very cool. So I'm so glad that people joined the Ink Flingers group on Facebook, which is really amazing. So I love that. So that's really neat. So we're just gonna continue working out the small shapes, and you know, because we're still thinking about what we're going to be doing as far as the pillow in the background. We're not sure, but right now we're looking for the real subtlety, right, of everything. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. All that subtlety. Okay, we're just going to continue moving this around. Just these little things, right? You think that they're not big, but they are huge, right? In the whole scheme of things. Always, have you noticed that I didn't come into this part of the lip until after I knew it was dry? You never want to erase wet paper. That's like a real super no-no. So, because when you rub into wet paper, it's volatile and it's going to definitely is going to tear up, right? It's going to be very delicate at that point. But once it dries, it erases nicely and it has nice strength to it, which is, you know, always something to remember. You know, whenever you have done a painting and you accidentally erased it during the time that it was wet, you'll know not to do it again, right? But if you listen to me and you know, and I'm able to make you circumvent that, that's even better. The best defense is not to be there, right? So that's the best way to fix it, is not do it in the first place. So again, we see the little nuances in her chin here. So we want to make sure we get that, those little nuances, those little areas where it's just slightly lighter. Ooh, that's too strong. So let's say you put down white pastel and it's a little crazy. You can always tap it with the kneaded eraser. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. And let's come here. And oh, it's lagging. Oh, that could happen. Also, check your battery on your keyboard if it's a cordless. That happened to me. I was, you know, everything was going kind of crazy, and I just had to change my battery, and then everything was all cool again. So that happens. Trust me. I can see this comes down over here like so. And then I can come in with the very light detail mix and make sure I get the shape here. And I'm not going to go there because it's still wet, so you got to be mindful of that. But I can take the white pastel and very lightly come in here and try and get that turning of the form on the chin, right? Those little things are really going to, remember, a lot of little things add up to a big thing, to a big difference, right? A lot of little differences add up to a big change and a big difference. And a lot of subtleties that, if you're not careful, will come back to haunt you if you're too rough, right? You have to be very gentle. Sometimes you can come in with the white pastel and sort of get that reflected light in here, right? Sometimes you can do that. And you want to be mindful of where that is. And just stick with it, guys. Stick with it. Be tenacious, right? And you can see how Maria's personality in her mouth area is really coming along. And of course I can be from about 5 inches away, and I could shape some of those really subtle midtones and the lights and the, you know, so you definitely can get that. And it's just about being tenacious, right? That's what it's all about. And so Mike says there's always the way teachers did it in school in art class, spray it with hairspray. Ooh, that is really scary. Oh my God. I don't ever want hairspray on my hair. Well, on my hair is fine, but not on my painting, that's for sure. Because that definitely will yellow in time. God knows what that's going to do. You know, those chemicals. So definitely don't do that, sir. Those teachers were definitely sending you down the wrong path as far as archival goes. So very cool. Very good information about fixative and all that. That's very cool. And stealing artwork, that's a very big question, you know. Very important question. So as you see, we're going to start coming around here as this muscle in the cheek comes down here. So we're paying attention, right? We're paying attention to the shapes. Maybe a little more pastel here. I've had live streams where there was like nobody here, like literally nobody. And those are the live streams that, you know, there might be 2 or 3 people here. But I always had the opinion that people who are meant to be here are here. And that's why I always give 100%, whether there's, you know, 30 people in the room or 5 people in the room. I mean, it still is important to really show up and never dial it in, right? With you all that are here, that are still with me, I never dial it in. And even when I'm sick, I don't dial it in. If I don't feel well, I still give it 100%. That's how important it is to me. And that's how tenacious I am. You know, I'm stubborn, and I'm always going to be stubborn. And let's use our kneaded eraser to kind of calm down this highlight here on the edge, rather than use the airbrush if we don't need, right? Always look for the most gentle way to do everything. And that doesn't only pertain to art or airbrush. Always look for the most gentle way to either make a point, to defend yourself, to correct somebody. Always do it the most gentle way. And I think it actually is great because that is definitely applicable to art, right? When you're doing something like this, you always want to do it the most gentle way possible. There's always exceptions to the rule, of course. But I think that's a good rule of thumb, right? Always try and be as gentle as possible when doing anything. I think that's not bad. So you see the cubage bow goes more straight up than what we had it, and much thinner. And wow, that makes a big difference. Looking more and more like Maria every day. Well, every week. And then we'll just come over here. And of course it's going to be a little strong, but that's why we have our kneaded eraser to calm things down. Right on this edge here, it's nice and stronger coming up here. So let's tap this. Cool. Let's tap this just a little bit. And let's zoom out and see how Maria's coming. And I think it's we're getting a nice likeness, which is great. So I'm happy so far. And like I said, you know, there's no points in getting it done. I don't care if it takes, you know, 10 live streams. It doesn't matter. I just want to do the right job, the best job. I want to paint Maria in the dignity and the grace that it deserves, that she deserves. You know, she's a very amazing, beautiful actress. So I definitely want to make sure that I'm doing her justice, right? That's so important. Again, I'm just looking at the piece as a whole. I can see that this is a little bit lighter. Not much, but just a little bit lighter. See, it's coming out of, it's coming a little bit opaque here. And you want to get rid of any opacity that's not there. And even in opacity in the shadows. If you see there's more of a transparency, or, you know, in technical terms, there is light in that area. It's still turning of the form, so it's catching some light regardless of whether it's bouncing off somewhere. It's still catching light somewhere. So you want to make sure that if light is reaching this part of her anatomy, that you want to make sure that you represent that rather than make it a you know, a very opaque hard shape. If it's not there, we're going to lose we're going to lose her clarity, right, and her character. So those are things we want to really guard against. So as you can see, I am looking to bring more transparency in some of these shadows. And the shadows are not transparent. Basically what's happening is light is reaching that area, and with light becomes detail. But it's not really transparent, but it's a good way to look at it, because in essence when we paint it, we are using more transparent inks and that sort of thing. So yeah, in a way it is transparent, but technically it isn't, but it's okay if we think of it as transparent, right? So that works. So let's see what we are missing here. It's almost like 40-50, but you get more of the same. Okay, you guys are talking about that stuff. That's all cool. Just taking a little bit of a lemonade break. And let's come over here again. See how opaque this is? It's opaque because that's how we're applying it. But in reality, it's not opaque. There's light reaching it. So when light is reaching this, whether it's a reflected light or some of the light directly from the main light sources reaching this area, it's not dark. And as it appears more transparent, what's happening is more light is reaching that area of shadow. So that's why you can see that I'm actually going ahead and doing that. And I'm doing that super soft with, and super gentle with my mono eraser, right? And we can see more light is hitting here. So remember, you're painting light. You're really not painting Maria's cheek. If you really get technical, we're just painting the light as it is uh, it reacting to the form, the three-dimensional form of Maria, right? That's what we're basically doing. So if we're getting technical of what we're doing, that's what we're painting. But when we're looking at this, we're looking at the amount of light that's reaching certain areas of her anatomy. And so that's why we have to know anatomy, because the light is affected by her anatomy. And not only that, but we want to see the degrees of light, how soft or hard that light is. All those elements are really going to make a big difference in capturing her likeness, her character, her emotion. So it's like a tightrope between very technical way of painting and a scientific approach, but also looking at it in an emotional way too, in a spiritual way. So there's balance in everything. Balance in the lights and darks of your painting, but also balance in the scientific and emotional approach of your work. So, and the good old fashioned, the way that we're trained, look for the lights and the darks and all that. Yes, those are important. But as when you get much more sophisticated, things change just slightly, right? As you can see here. See how things are looking much more like the light is affecting the area, right? So that's basically what's happening. And as you can see, we're going to deepen the shadows a little bit, but we definitely had to address the fact that light is reaching these shadow areas. We could make them light and say, okay, we basically, we did our job. We got the shapes down. It looks like her, and we're just gonna very happily move on to our next painting. Not good enough. We're painting light. We have to represent the light as it is being presented to us. And as we learn more about light and the science of light, the more that it is going to, that your work is going to be much more sophisticated. And that's what you want, sophistication in your artwork. We don't care whether or not, I mean, yes, we want it to look like her, but that's not the main thrust, right? That's not the main uh, life's blood of the painting. It's main by when we get these shapes right and we get these lights, even this little light that's hitting just above the nostril here, things like that. That's going to be taking it from a B painting to an A painting, to a painting that stands out, to one that really stands out and demands attention. And that's what I want for everybody. I want you to have that kind of painting where people look at it and say, whoa, that's a step above, isn't it? That's really nice. I love the way they did that. 1 second rule is going to keep you in the game, my friend. So definitely keep that 1 second rule close to you and make sure. So as you can see here, this comes down. So here's her eyes and here's the side of her face. So you can see this is her eye, so that has to be well over here, right? So this is very fuzzy as we come over here, but this is way over here, right? So if we're doing the side plane of her face, that side angle, that's way over, right? It's not over here where I had it. So that's why when you pay close attention to what you're doing, things are really going to take on a much more profound sense of reality. So keep going, be tenacious, and things will work out. But you just have to realize that it's not going to come all at once. You have to be tenacious and you have to keep attacking. Keep attacking. And as you can see, even in this dark shadow right here, if we really look at it, there are some light that's bouncing around the room, and is hitting that shadow area. So make sure when you're doing the shadow that there's more to it than just that shadow area. It's absolutely crucial. And you see this dark here, it does not extend all the way up, so I'm making that distinction. And keep that going. And let's see. And we're just going to continue moving here. So right here is a very important area. So this part of her eye socket area just below her eyebrow here, it kind of comes down here quite drastically. And in that area you can see that there's some reflected light. And let's see if I can zoom in a little bit on that. We can look at that together. There we go. So as I'm looking at this in my reference on PureRef, go to pureref.com and you can download, and it really is great when you're working from your computer to do detail on your artwork. There we go. Just a little less light, but light is definitely being hit. There's definitely light reaching here, so you definitely have to paint that in. You cannot get away without doing it. Not if you want your work to stand out and to have a clarity of a Johannes Vermeer or a Rembrandt, right? You want that clarity. You want that next level. Not good enough. Good enough just doesn't do it. You want that next level. Look at that. Do you see the next level there? That's what I want for your work. That's what I want for my work. Again, this is much more light is hitting here. So you're not just painting shapes. You're saying to yourself, how much light's hitting here? Is there more light hitting here than I'm representing? Do I have to, paint this light shape in? As opposed to being one dark shape. Maybe there's two light shapes, one's lighter. Those are things that you have to ask yourself. And is there light shapes within that shape, right? You have maybe a gray number 5 and there's lighter shapes inside there. Are those things, if that's what's happening with your artwork, that's what you want to really explore. You want to explore negative shapes, right? And continue moving around. So Rick says, Tim, let us about you. We know your art career, but what about you? Single, married, divorced, cat, dog, 9 to 5. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I was married to a wonderful person, and she was, a very important part of my life. She was a fellow artist. She was an art student of mine, and she became an amazing painter. And so I had 2 stepchildren with her, and unfortunately the marriage didn't work out. And now I'm single. I was married for like 12 years. And right now I live by myself, and I live off of my artwork, and this is my only form of income. So I appreciate you guys buying my airbrushes and my artwork and taking the classes. It keeps me going, keeps all this happening. And what else? Live in New Jersey, born and raised in Jersey, went to college, went to art school, scholarship student, all that stuff. It was a lot of fun. But right now, just concentrating on my career in photography. I'm into photography now, which is really cool. And thanks for asking, my friend. I appreciate that. Yeah, I like being married. I have to say, I enjoyed it. I'm not one of those single guys who's like, yeah, I'm single, like Austin Powers, the doo-doo-doo-doo, the doo-doo-doo-doo. No, I'm not that kind of single guy. But, there are good things about being single. It's not bad. You know, there are great things about being married. I like being married, but I'll wait until somebody finds out, you know, hey, I want to marry that guy, you know, or something like that. I would maybe one day, but we'll see. I'm just going to re-examine this shape here. Bring this up. There we go. And as you see, we're working on a lot of the subtleties, which I wasn't really looking at. I was looking at the large shapes, and now we're getting into those small shapes, right? And so that's really important. And let's see. So we are at 11:21. So we're doing pretty good with this live stream. Thank you everyone who stayed with me this time. I appreciate all this time. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's so important. And it really is encouraging that you guys stay with me. So thank you. And so as you can see, we're getting more of a feeling of that moment that she was in the studio. Let's face it, when you're painting from a photograph, and I want you to think about this, if you're painting from a photograph, you're painting a moment that they were in the studio, in a photography studio, and you're recreating what happened, whether it was with flash or ambient light. And that's why you're a light detective. You're asking yourself, what was happening during that time, right? How did, you know, what were the light arrangements? Was there a reflector? Those are things you ask yourself, right? Was there a reflector? Were there two light sources? Did they use flash or ambient light, which I mentioned before? Those are things which are really important. And oh, thank you, Mr. John. John says she's looking marvelous. I appreciate that, my friend. So thank you so much for that. And so now that I drew that out, let's go ahead and airbrush this here. Little tiny dagger strokes, right? Little tiny dagger strokes. And let's reiterate her eyebrow. So I move when I'm working by myself. I mean, when I'm teaching, I work much slower because the student follows along. And then here I'm working faster than if I was working with a student. But when I'm working by myself, that's when I'm really moving along. Hey, Brad, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that, sir. Thank you. That is so great. I really appreciate the support, my friend. And thank you for the encouragement. And like I said, those who buy my airbrushes and buy my inks on inkflingers.com and the super chats like that allow this to keep going, you know, and to have a little more security and know that Ink Flingers will be around for a long time. Thank you so much, Brad. And Mr. John Diekman, take care. Wisconsin in the house. I hope you have a great night. It's always a pleasure to hang, sir. And so I hope you get to do more artwork, and looking forward to that. So when remember when when you are, how do I say, when you are retreating, you're also attacking. So when you're adjusting, you're also putting things in that a lot stronger. And so it's a little of both. You're fixing, but you're also reaffirming shapes as well. So here I'm just gonna soften this edge here. There's a lot more gradual feathering going on of light. So I'm gonna recommend this, and I hope you guys really look into it. But learning photography is gonna take your painting to a new level. That is the golden nugget in all this live stream. You learn photography, you're going to learn how to paint photographs. The more you learn how to take a photograph, the more you're going to learn how to paint a photograph. Think about that. the more insight you have into what you're doing, the better you're going to do. The more insight you have to writing about a subject, the more you're going to be able to describe that subject more. We're not all writers, we're painters. So think about this form of logic. The more you know about your subject, the more you're going to be able to say about the subject, right? So that is so crucial. So if you get nothing else from this class, definitely learn how to photograph portraits. Even if you don't work from the portraits that you photograph, learn how to photograph portraits. I'm not going to repeat that too often because that's a real nugget of wisdom, and that has been a real breakthrough for me, and so I want that for you guys. So definitely, if you take one thing from me, that is going to take your work to a whole new level. But that's it. I'm going to say it once, and that's it. My students are going to hear it all the time. All the time. Because if you're my student, I am going to stress the fundamentals, and that's a new fundamental. So I really hope that helps you, and I hope that sets you on exploration. That's going to really help your work. So that's so important. And so right now we are 11:27, so close to the end of tonight's live stream. And looks like we didn't do much, but you know what? If we look at the painting of the whole, a lot of really good, a lot of small adjustments equals big change. Definitely. So when we zoom out, this is what we have. So you can definitely see there's more of a sense of light, right? There's more of a sense of air, and things are moving in and out, right? And so that's really important. So, oh, Rick says here, his wife is jealous of me because she knows she loses me on Wednesdays to my other wife. Well, thanks, Rick, and tell your wife I'm so sorry, but it's only for 2 hours, okay? And Rick, thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate that. That is so cool. And Mr. Brad says, great feed, and have a great night. Looking great. Thank you. Paul says, looking great. I appreciate that. So as you can see, there's a lot of stuff going here. And, you know, as I say, you know, we always want to make sure we keep it wispy, right? We are painting light. Light is not a solid. So we always want to make sure that we look for the proper viscosity, or, you know, whatever level of light, whether it's you know, the shadows, whether there's light in those shadows, we always want to look for that. And the proper softness, right? The proper edge work, we want to make sure we get that. And so as you can see, she's coming along very slowly, but there's no point for speed, right? Once this painting is done, it's going to be finished forever, am I right? So you're not going to be able to take it back. So once it's signed, and that's it. Mike S. says, T needs to start his own in-person art school. I bet he'd be flooded with students trying. Thank you, my friend. Thanks, Mike. And thanks, Mike, for hanging in, and I really appreciate that so much. And the mob would trample me. Oh, man. And thanks, Nameless, for hanging out. Thanks, Air Todd. Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Brad and Honey, for the super chats, and that, it means so much to me. I so appreciate that, more than you know. And, oh, Todd says he wants me as a teacher. I appreciate that. When you have time, I'll be here for you, okay? No worries. And so everybody, it looks like it's 11:30. Thank you so much. Thanks, Rick, everybody, for hanging out. I really appreciate you spending time with little old me on Wednesday night. And next Wednesday, we are going to work on the background, whatever that is, Nameless. So next week is just for you, okay? And take care, everybody. God bless. And really great live stream. And you make my week better.